Alright, so today, I'll be going over the teams that I'm using against the new raid boss Alexander. I'll be explaining why I decided to go with these team compositions, explain to you how they work, and at the same time, I will also be giving you guys some tips to help you out in this fight, plus a few more advice on how to use certain characters in specific teams. Do keep in mind that even though I'm showing you the teams that I'm using, yes, you can straight up copy the team composition, but you don't necessarily need to do so. Each player has a different level of investment on each character, so you can simply use this as a guide to give you an idea on how to build proper teams for this boss fight. But before we talk about the first team composition, let's first talk about two very important tips for this boss fight. So the first one, which might be obvious for some people, it's that you should definitely play on a 21:9 aspect ratio. As far as I know, this is only applicable for PC, so if you are playing on PC, make sure you set your screen to windowed and 21:9, just so you have an easier time in shooting down the turrets, especially at the beginning. My most important advice for this type of content is that if you are able to do so, try not to use too many powerhouse characters in one team. Take a closer look at your team compositions and see if you can switch out some characters that your other teams might need more. It's way better to have 5 decent yet functional teams instead of having 1 or 2 really good teams, but then the rest of your team compositions can't even get past the first phase. So really take your time in coming up with your team compositions. So with that out of the way, the first team composition we have is this one. We have Litter, Makima, Modernia, Noise, and Anise Sparkling Summer. Litter is obviously here to provide massive attack buffs and also a bit of protection. Makima is the one that will be taking the most damage because she can taunt, she has a decent lifesteal, and she also has immunity. Modernia is going to be one of the main damage dealers, plus she is also the one responsible for taking out the projectiles for the most part. Preferably, it's better to use Scarlet because she has great synergy with Sparkling Summer, but you know, I'm probably never getting this character at this point. And then we also have Noise, who is going to be the second tank for this team. If you have a high investment Noise, then you can probably switch out Makima for her support. But for my case, both Makima and Noise are low investment, so having the two of them take turns in taking damage is the best move for now. And then last but certainly not the least, we have Anise Sparkling Summer. She is a very good character for this fight, not only because she is doing 10% more damage because of elemental weakness, but also because shotgun units can easily land all of their shots simply because Alexander has a big surface area. This team is straightforward and very easy to use, and all you have to worry about is properly timing Noise's healing. And then as a bonus tip, if you are in full burst mode, make sure that your crosshair is on the boss for the most part, even if there are projectiles coming at you. You sort of have to let the projectiles fly into your crosshair as they are coming down towards your characters. This will just make it so that your shots are landing on the boss itself for the majority of the time. Moving on, let's talk about the next team. This team will have Jackal, Agent D, Guillotine, Mast, and Helm. What makes this team really good is the fact that it completely counters the main special attacks from this boss. If you were not aware, Alexander has 7 special attacks, and 4 of them will target your character with the highest attack. So having Jackal in your team, letting you share that damage across 3 characters, is actually so good. This prevents your main DPS from being taken out, because on top of the damage sharing, Jackal is also increasing her allies' defense. And the crazy part is, that's actually not everything Jackal provides. She also has one of the highest energy generation in the game, so she helps you enter full burst quickly. Additionally, Jackal increases the damage taken for the enemy, while also decreasing their attack. So with all this combined, it baffles me that Jackal, up to this day, is still ranked as a B tier character. I don't know about you, but I think that a character with this much utility definitely deserves to be higher than B tier in PvE. But moving on to the next character, we have Agent D. She is a really good character for this for a few reasons. For one, she fills up your burst gauge by a ton, letting you enter full burst early into the fight. Plus, you actually get a 15-second full burst when you use her burst at the beginning of the fight. And you definitely want to use her burst because of the second effect. This is going to let your attackers deal a ton of damage to the turrets very early, making it very easy for you to break them. Next, we have Guillotine, who is going to be the main damage dealer. She is perfect for this team simply because of how well she works with the other characters. As most of you probably know, Guillotine deals more damage the lower her HP is. So with the help of Jackal and Mast, she is going to deal a ton of damage because she is able to survive for a long time while hovering at low HP. Do keep in mind that you have to use the Wingman Cuban Guillotine, and you might also have to get at least one good roll of max ammo increase on her equipment. And then next up we have Helm, who I think is the perfect healer for this team. She has plenty of damage buffs, and her lifesteal combos really well with Guillotine. Because what you can do is you can pop Helm's Burst while Guillotine is being attacked by the turrets. This is why I told you to get as much ammo increase on Guillotine, because you would want her to consistently attack while Helm's lifesteal is active. If you can do that, then she can easily tank the turrets in this fight. And then lastly, we have Mast. Like I mentioned before, she is here to increase her allies' HP, therefore giving Guillotine more attack. She also has a ton of buffs for her team, and she also reduces the enemy's defense. Plus, she is an electric unit, so she is just a really good character for this fight. Honestly, this is actually a very low investment team. All of them have level 4 skills, except for Agent T who has a level 7 skill too, and Helm who has a level 7 burst. But on the other side of the spectrum, we have a team that is more on the expensive side. But if you have these characters built, even with moderate investment, then you can definitely find success in using them. For this one, we have Dorothy, Noah, Snow White, Biscuit, and Alice. This team has really good synergy because they can break the turrets like it's nothing. Not only that, they also have great survivability because of Noah and Biscuit. The star players in this team are Snow White and Alice. Snow White can actually take out 2 of the turrets using her burst, as long as you shoot them in the middle. So what you can do, especially early on, is you can spam normal attacks on Alice to fill up your burst gauge really fast, and then immediately enter full burst using Snow White's burst. One more good thing about this is that you don't actually need to fully charge her burst to break the turrets. In my case, I found that 600 to 700% is good enough to take out any breakable parts. Alice can also do a really good job at breaking the turrets, but you most likely need to have a couple of really good substats so that her attacks hit like a truck during full burst. But overall, this team is really good and very easy to use. I mainly use Snow White for the most part, just so I can manually get rid of the projectiles. But immediately after full burst ends, I switch to Alice so that I can fill up the burst gauge again using her spams. Although, one thing to keep in mind is that you should use Biscuit before using Noah's burst. And this will make it so that you're using Noah's burst when the boss is launching missiles at you. And now for the next team, we have Blanc, Noir, Privity, Laplace, and Volume. Of course, you need to have Noir so that you can use Blanc as a solo burst 2 unit, because that's the only way you can reduce her burst cooldown to 20. But if you do have both of them, they work insanely well in any team composition. With that said, the main character I want to talk about is Laplace. She is just a really good character against any boss that has multiple breakable parts. Laplace has really good AoE on her attacks, letting you hit multiple parts at the same time. She has a burst that is going to tear through the turrets, and she also has very high energy generation. With the help of the other characters giving her a ton of buffs, she is just going to be a very effective character in this fight. Breaking the enemy turrets is especially important in this fight because just breaking one of them actually deals a ton of damage towards the boss. So the more turrets you're able to break, the more damage you end up dealing. Also remember that when Laplace is not using her burst, make sure that you spam her normal attacks because that will be the fastest way to break the turrets. She is also getting a reload speed buff from Pivity, so you are really putting out more attacks when you spam. So yeah, that is pretty much everything I have for the team compositions for the Alexander boss fight. Hopefully I did a decent job at explaining to you how these teams work, what makes them so good, and how to play them. If you noticed, I only covered 4 teams out of 5 because I'm still trying to figure out the best team that I could come up with using the characters that are left. But with that being said, if you found this video useful, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. And if you haven't already, I probably have another video up showing you the gameplay for each of the teams that I covered in this video. I will be including some tips for the boss mechanics in that video, so definitely make sure to check that out. But as always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.